Good evening and welcome to the second edition of our program, Presidential 2018. The first edition having been broadcast last Tuesday. And a couple of years ago, Cameroon was referred to as the island of peace in a turbulent sub-region. Today, that peace has been threatened not from without, but from within. And for the very first time in its close to 6-decade history, the unity of the country is being threatened by unrest in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. The civil strife has brought untold consequences on the political, social, and economic life of the two regions. Once the educational hub of the nation, children can hardly go to school today in the northwest region. And once the bread basket of the nation, the southwest region can hardly produce enough food for itself today. This should be a major talking point on the political scene today, given that as many as 9 candidates are competing to be part of the decision-making body in the country, or should I say, are striving to go to Unity Palace and take decisions in the name of the nation. And Cameroonians will be given one of the 9 candidates the opportunity on the 7th of October this year. And because this topic is very topical, we have decided to set the ball rolling on CRTV by choosing insecurity as a talking point in the presidential polls. To do that with us on the set today, we have Mr. Fru Jonathan, Chargé de Mission of the Central Committee of the CPDM, and he is also Section President of MESAM 2. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Joe. It's my pleasure.
And it is in that capacity that I'm inviting you. I know you have other responsibilities in the country and in the government, but you're being invited today here as a section president and as a chargé de mission for the CPDM. You're welcome.
It's my pleasure to be with you today.
There is Mr. David Enongene Ekwoge. He is the divisional president of the CDU for Kupe Maninguba. You're welcome.
Exactly. Thank you, Joe, for having invited me.
Thank you.
And in this emission, I hope we shall share
opinions
together.
Especially that of your own political party.
God being our helper.
Exactly. We are waiting for Mr. Justin Roger Noah of the Cameroon Renaissance movement. He confirmed he will be part of the program this evening. So we're looking forward to receiving our third guest in the person of Mr. Justin Roger Noah of the CRM political party. Let me begin by this general question. How do you feel getting news on the situation in the northwest and southwest region today? Mr. Fru Jonathan.
Well, Joe, I think what I can say is that when I get the news that is coming from the field, from the northwest and the southwest, I'm very disturbed. The news that we receive is very disturbing and very preoccupying. This is because for my whole life, I've never lived the situation we're going through in our 2 regions. If I even look at the case of Northwest, which is one of the most beautiful regions of this country, with the people very kind and hospitable, very welcoming. In fact, many friends whom I've met before used to say when they want to spend their private time, they want to go and spend it in Bamenda. But when today Bamenda becomes a nightmare, we see people dying every day. We see people from all shades of life. It becomes more disturbing when if you see a young military officer who is on mission, and his mission is to protect the people, to protect life and to protect property. And he goes and is gruesomely killed, sometimes even beheaded. It is very, very alarming. If you see an innocent citizen who is attacked, kidnapped, dragged into the bushes, tortured, and they request ransom, it is very disturbing. If we see even the custodians of our tradition, the fawns, whom we used to respect. In fact, you could not go near a fawn. You cannot stretch a hand to the fawn. You can't look at the fawn in the eye. But we discovered today our fawns are dragged to the bushes by their children, and even killed. If we see church leaders, people who are there to pray for us, being killed, it is very disturbing. So, in fact, it is an unfortunate situation which we start asking ourselves many questions, whether this fight is for what? There are many questions that go in our minds. Now we're living under very insecure conditions. I used to love to spend all my weekends back home. In fact, I could not make 2 weekends without getting to Bamenda, and particularly to Santa. But today, when I think of going back home, I'm frightened. I'm afraid to go back because I'm not sure if I get home, I'll come back. It is true that the situation may be quite alarming, but it's being controlled. But I think the fear is there.
There is need for hope. Yes. Mr. Inonkene, you're coming from Kupe Manenguba. Let me ask you the same question. How do you feel like with the news coming in from the Northwest and Southwest?
Of course, as my brother just said, the situation is truly very, very alarming. The situation is very, very alarming. I will only talk about my own constituency where I live. 3/4 of the population of Tombel is no more in Tombel. All are in Loom. The offices, government offices, are not open. Even the Elekam. I got a letter yesterday, 2 days ago. If one call from the Elekam branch head that I should produce the list of police station members. His office is not even open. He's calling through phone. But at first he used to write, send letters. The situation is extremely alarming. And we're praying to Almighty God to bring us peace in this our part of the country. I'm telling you the truth that 3/4 of the people in Tombel, Bangem, all over. You can't imagine that children wrote their GC in Loom. Others wrote in Kongsamba. You cannot imagine.
Okay. Now, does your party have a clear-cut position on what is happening in the Northwest and Southwest?
Really, the CPDM party has been working very hard to ensure that peace returns. We're following the vision and the approach of our national chairman, President Paul Biya, who from the word go did say we need dialogue to solve this problem. The president took every measure. When this problem started, which was a problem of the lawyers and teachers, the president did react promptly by sending the Prime Minister and all the ministers involved in the crisis to go down to the field and dialogue with those who were involved in the crisis. But now, these senior officials went down and they spoke with those who were involved, and many concessions were made by government. And we believe that if the teachers are back to the classroom, if the lawyers are back to the courts, it means something was done which at least appeased them. But now, when the crisis took another twist, that's when it becomes very, very difficult, because at the moment, the CPDM knows that, and the president of the country is a legalist. He knows that we're in a state of law. People have the right to go out and manifest their grievance, but you must do that while respecting our constitution and our
within
laws.
The framework of the law.
Within the framework of the law. It is because things have changed direction. Now we're living like in a jungle where you do just what you want. Someone can stand up, take your gun, fire the other person. You can get someone, punish the person. You can seize someone's property and own it. In fact, I think in a country where there's law, this cannot happen. So the position of the CPDM has been that of, first of all, trying to educate our people, to make them understand that we have to respect the law. Even if you're not happy, our law gives us the opportunity to express yourself, to express your grievance the way you want. Now, if you don't respect the law, then the state institutions are there to put you on track. So as far as the CPDM is concerned, we've been out on the field. The Prime Minister, who is our militant, who is the regional coordinator for Northwest, permanent delegate for the CPDM, has been on the field several times. The Prime Minister has been holding several meetings with the elite, the CPDM elite of the Northwest, and our focus has been on how to ensure that peace comes back. The same situation has been happening in the Southwest. The CPDM has been working tirelessly to ensure that peace comes. So we can only preach peace. We can only preach dialogue. This dialogue which we are doing our best to promote, because today they talk about inclusive dialogue. Inclusive dialogue.
We'll be coming to that shortly. Now, what about the UDC?
UDC, my national president, Honorable Dr. Adamanda Mjoya, had always made it clear, most of the time, talking about Anglophone problem. And if you can remember, during a political forum which took place in this very CRTV, one of our important militants, Jupit Adamu, mentioned about the problem of Anglophones. And he said that the problem did not generate yesterday. It has started since 1989 to 1990. And CDU, our national president, Dr. Adamanda, knows about that. And that's why some of us know that he is taking, if he took up power, perhaps this problem of Anglophones would have been solved. Because he really has been talking about it.
Okay. We'll come back to what he's proposing. Yes. If Cameroonians give him the opportunity to rule this country on October the 7th. But do you have any followers, and what do you tell your followers when you go down to the regions?
We preach peace. Really.
Do you allow other non-militants to come to where you are preaching the peace, or you just allow the CPDM people to come in?
When we go down to the field, we talk to everyone. You know, the problem we have today has been expressed as the Anglophone problem. And it is a problem which touches every Anglophone, whether you are of the CPDM or of the SDF. If it's a problem of Anglophone, then it touches every Anglophone. We tell the people that the president himself did say he knows that you have a problem, but we differ on the method of solving this problem. We tell our militants, if you have a problem and you use the wrong method to solve that problem, then you will not find a solution. Then it becomes wrong. We have a problem, it's true the problem is there, but how do we solve this problem? Do we have to paralyze our regions in the name of solving the problems? And when we punish ourselves, because it is concerning Anglophones, and all this is happening in the Anglophone regions. When you burn down a classroom, you're burning down the classroom that belongs to you and your children. When you paralyze your markets, the shops, you stop your children from going to school. Your children will suffer, other children will go to school. So the method of solving this problem is not the right method. When you kill your brother, then it's not the right way to solve the problem, because if you were out to defend the Anglophone, your interest is to fight for the interest of Anglophone, how will you fight for the interest of someone and at the same time you're killing that same person? And worse still, killing an innocent person, because we've seen people who have been kidnapped. They're just going around for their normal activities. They don't even belong to political parties, but they have been kidnapped and killed for nothing. So we think that there's something wrong somewhere. So we tell our militants, listen, we have to stop it. we have to lay down our arms. We have to understand that even if we had a problem and we went out to war, at a certain moment, you have to lay down your arms and evaluate and see whether the solution, the method you're using is the right method. We cannot.
Is the message going through at all?
The message is going through in some areas, but other areas it's not going through. But we think that as time...
You will not stop singing the song?
Yes, as time is going on, they are discovering that most of them are being misled, particularly the youth. Because when they said there will be no GC, we hear for the past 2 years we've had results of the GC. So those who didn't go to school discover that their brothers are moving on. So they start asking themselves, what are we doing? Some said the independence will come on the 1st of October. The 1st of October has passed, another October comes, we may be having a 3rd October, no independence as yet. So they're now questioning themselves whether they are really going in the right direction. So we are trying to make our youths, particularly because this problem is more of a youth problem. If you see those who are involved in kidnapping, those who are involved in the killings, those who are involved in the social media spreading wrong information, they're mostly the youth. And the range between 16 years and the maximum 22 years. So make them understand that.
Is that not the school-going population?
That is school-going population, which means since the schools were paralyzed, these children were now at home idle. They had nothing to do, so they were easily dragged into the wrong direction. So we try to educate these children and make them understand that if they continue that way, they're going to destroy their future. And most of them are understanding. I want to say, when I was up in the Northwest, particularly in Santa, I've had one of my militants who told me he wants to organize some holiday classes for some youths in Santa. And surprisingly, he called me to say some youths accepted to go and do some catch-up classes, which means they're understanding.
Okay. Mr. Inongene,
yes.
What's the situation in Kupe Manenguba? When you talk to the militants of the CDU, do they listen to you on this issue? What's their response?
First of all, the way even at the moment our militants are not even available. Most of them are not available. They have left their places.
So the president is there alone?
Who?
You are there alone?
I'm not really there alone. I'm with very few people.
Okay, the older members of your party.
The great party, the greater part of the people are out of Tombal Bangam Guti.
So you don't have anybody to preach peace to them?
No. Is it easy to move and preach peace? Is it easy to move and preach peace? You preach to who?
Your party supporters.
I would like you to understand one thing. Just that you people are not in the scene.
Yeah, tell us.
If you were in the scene, then your stomach will always be down.
What does that mean?
Means you will just be lying down at every gunshot. You will lie down, you have to lie down. So it's not easy for you to be moving up and down to spread the good news that you are bringing out now. It's difficult to spread that news of peace. It's difficult.
Okay.
Because nobody will listen to you. I'm telling the truth.
Because they don't want to listen, or because the atmosphere is not there?
The atmosphere does not permit
them to listen to you.
What will you talk to them? When people are there, they are not happy with the situation, you go and stand and preach. Who will listen to you? I'm even surprised. I'll be very surprised if that campaign will take place. I know that people have immigrated to Yaoundé, Douala, and all over. Even the so-called the big bulls of CPDM, most of them, are they even there? They are not there. There are people themselves, are they even there? They're not even
okay.
there.
Now, when the situation in the far north broke out sometime in 2011, 2012, and so on and so forth, it was like the whole nation came together and tried to see how they could help. Is that the same situation? Does your party send support through you to your party followers over there, send words of comfort and so on and so forth? Do you see that coming?
Really, that is exactly what is happening today. You know, recently the head of state launched the emergency aid program. and we saw the reaction of Cameroonians. We discovered that Cameroonians are really in solidarity with their brothers in the Northwest and Southwest, because I think the caravan has gone around all the regions, and we saw huge sums of monies that were contributed to help our people who are suffering. But the situation in the extreme north and that of the Northwest is slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly different because while in the extreme north, the aggressor, the person who is attacking, is coming from outside, and because of that, the people from within unite themselves to face him, and then they can make progress. In the Northwest and Southwest, it's different. We discover that the attacker or the aggressor is from within, because
it's discontent.
It's discontent. Now there is a brother facing brother, sister facing sister. It becomes difficult to even know whom you can trust. Now the people start adhering to some ideas that have been introduced by the secessionists, sometimes not because they share that opinion or they want secession, it's because they are afraid of their lives. You are obliged to speak a certain language, because if you don't speak that language, you are not sure you're going to survive. So the situation is different. There is absence of trust. The people are living in fear. You can live even with in your house with a wife, and you are afraid of your wife. You cannot even talk the truth because you don't know how your wife will react to it.
Has it come to that?
That happens. It happens. So I think in the Northwest and Southwest, those who are attacking are from within, and it makes it a bit complex. But now, with the new approach, the head of state has launched this emergency aid program, and the aid is being distributed to the on the field, even though with a lot of difficulties, but it's been done, because in every war, we must give assistance to those who are suffering.
The victims.
To the victims. There are others who are lying in the bushes, others who have abandoned their homes, like the CDU is saying. Mm-hmm. Most of them have abandoned their homes. It's important that the government should give assistance to these people. And I think we, the militants of the party, we've been doing that. We've been contributing to help to give minimum assistance to those who are suffering from this war.
Okay.
In terms of food, in terms of basic needs like medicine and so on. And even when there is a problem, like there's a small problem between the population and the forces of law and order, we go back. Those who are wounded, we try to give them assistance and encourage them. But as we go on, we hope that things are going to improve.
What's the situation in your area? Have you received the assistance?
Assistance from the government?
Yes.
Have they even visited us? I only praise, we praise the DO of Tombel, who's even helping to calm the situation. Because this situation would have been too alarming. Perhaps everybody, even plus myself.
Is that not the assistance that is coming?
Yes, he's helping. Sometimes goes to the refugee camp at Coupe. He goes and comforts them. He goes right to Lum. He's a good guy. He's a young guy. He's a good guy.
With the resources which have been contributed from around the country?
It's best known to him.
Okay. That he will not tell you, maybe.
Yes.
So those things that started as corporate demands have degenerated into civil strife, and today the grievances which were originally posed as the demands of the teachers and the lawyers have since given way to more political demands. I would like us to follow, you just mentioned earlier on about the government's move to provide assistance to those who have been displaced. Esther Kima tried to look through what government has been doing in terms of the provision of appropriate solutions to what was requested by the teachers and the lawyers, and now government has moved to the point of trying to rally Cameroonians to raise some money and help those who have been displaced. And for the very first time, it must be said, the Prime Minister did say Cameroonians are living out of their territory as refugees. Let's have the support by Esther Kima.
The social unrest in the northwest and southwest regions, which began with corporate demands from English-speaking lawyers and teachers on October 2016, has slowly but steadily left Cameroon's most cherished assets, peace, dwindling in uncertainty. From street protests and the boycott of tribunals, to striking teachers, deserting classrooms and learners robbed of their rights to education in the two regions, government has been keen on providing lasting solutions. One of the concerns which was the uneasiness expressed on the non-existence of the OHADA Uniform Act in English was immediately considered by the head of state, evident with the presence of the OHADA Permanent Secretary, Professor Dorothée Kosi-Sosa, at the Unity Palace. On November 28, 2016, he officially handed over the English language version of the OHADA Uniform Act to the Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic, Ferdinand Gongo. The ensuing distribution of the Act to all magistrates and courts, ordered by the Minister of State, Minister of Justice and Keeper of the Seals, Laurent Esso, as well as volumes of the Penal Code and the Criminal Procedure Code in English, were strong indications to end the crisis. To probe into the education system in the judiciary, a working group led by the Minister Delegates to the Minister of Justice, Jean-Pierre Fogui, was set up, with the Ministers of Finance, Public Service and Administrative Reform, including the Director General of the National School of Administration and Magistracy in NAM, reforms were carried out. After a census of English-speaking lawyers in the country and an evaluation of the mastery of the common law by magistrates exercising in the Northwest and Southwest regions, a report was handed over to Prime Minister Philemon Yang. On the instructions of the head of state, Paul Biya, there was the creation of the Faculty of Law and Political Science in the University of Buea. To extend the teaching of common law, an ensuing presidential decree created the Department of Common Law in state universities of Douala, Marua, Gaoundéré and Chang, as well as the institution of a common law department in the National School of Administration and Magistracy, a school currently restructured to meet the bilingual needs of the nation. In July 2017, President Paul Biya okayed the creation of the Common Law Section at the Supreme Court, expected to have competence over issues relating to common law. The appointment of Justice Epuli Matthias Alor as President of the Judicial Bench of the Supreme Court, the first English-speaking Cameroonian to occupy the post, is also telling of the volition to appease. Apart from the redeployment of English-speaking judges to their regions of origin to better the execution of judgments and a special recruitment of judicial officers and court registrars, the head of state, President Paul Biya, also ordered the release of consortium leaders and several others arrested in connection with the unrest in August last year. The National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism, introduced with Peter Mafani Musonge as chair, and the appointment of its members by presidential decree, is another tacit action to preempt tensions caused by social discriminations. In the education sector, the setting up of an interministerial ad hoc committee, spearheaded by Prime Minister Philemon Yang, held a plethora of meetings with teachers' trade unions in Bamenda and in Yaoundé to get through the impasse. After consultations, decisions such as President Paul Biya's disbursements of 2 billion CFA francs to assist private education, improve working conditions and ease the burden of teachers were made. The recruitment of 1,000 bilingual teachers into the public service for the 2017 financial year also translated the commitment to redress the issue of teaching science and technical subjects. The move was backed up by the transfer of teachers whose first language is English to the Northwest and Southwest regions to dispense lessons. President Paul Biya's regard for the people in these parts of the country who to an extent live in fear and incertitude, trapped between the attacks of separatists and the police mission, has now been extended to an emergency humanitarian assistance plan worth 12.7 billion CFA francs, financed by the state budget, national solidarity, and the contribution.
Thank you very much, Esther Kima, for that summary of what has been done thus far. Mr. Inongene, when you listen to Esther speak or recount what has happened thus far, what's your reaction?
Our reaction is just simple. We do not have to wait for so long for this type of decisions to be taken by the head of the state. Because since 1996, when they spoke about decentralization, if perhaps this decentralization was put in place, all this situation, this unforeseen situation would have not been seen. They would have pocketed all those, all their intentions. But now that it has been too late. It was too late. So what we are praying, we're only praying to the Almighty God to bring us peace, to bring us the peace. He's the only one to solve this our problem.
But when you pray, you act.
Yes, we act. By acting, how do you want us to act? How do you
that's the question which I'm asking you. Yeah. As a political leader, you're supposed to act in the field.
Yes.
You're supposed to talk to people. You're supposed to appeal to people.
That is what I just told you here, Joe. That how can you speak to people who are angry? People are not happy with the situation. Some of them are not even in place. 3/4 of the population in my area are out of my area.
Now, how can people be angry for 2 years?
It's possible. People can be angry until a solution is given now, and the only person to bring the solution to people is the head of state.
Now, when you see the series of measures that have been taken, are those not indications that solutions were provided to the issues raised?
That's what I'm saying, that the situation has aggravated because it delayed. And as it delayed now, after actions have been taken by the other side, it will be difficult to arrange it. You know, one musician in Nigeria, Nikom Baraga, said, gave a music, he had a song that a bended stick can never be straightened. And you know that when something is already becoming very bad like that, it's only the head of state who can solve that problem.
If you were to talk to him, what appeal would you make?
I'll appeal to him that all the militants are appealing to him of my area, are appealing to the head of state to look into their problem and see that killing people, because not the Amazonian armies are killing people. Oh. That's what you should also understand. And there are no stray bullets. As you hear like that, they say there are stray bullets. There are no stray bullets. It's the armies themselves who are killing people, who are killing my people. I lost my sister last time with a bullet that took her out of the waist. I cannot tell you, we are suffering. It's difficult. I say it's only God that can solve this problem. And the president of the president of the country, he should look for a solution. He has a solution.
Now, at the level of your own political party, what are you proposing?
What we are proposing now at the moment is to see that our national president takes over this power and become the president of this republic. Because he knows the problem in the Anglophone region, and he can manage the Anglophone problem better than any other person.
How?
Because he has studied. He's an educationist. He's somebody who
you just study education. Is there a course on Anglophone problem, how to solve Anglophone problem?
You know, he was first of all one of the ministers in the Ahijo's government. And in the time of Ahijo, they didn't have all these problems. There were no problems.
But they are talking about the problems that haven't started in 1961.
No, that problem started, if there was a problem in 1961, it would have come out before 1989, 1990 that it came out. in the regime of the president who is there now. So you really see that if Adamu Damjoya took over powers, who has worked with Ahijo, you will know how to solve the problem. The problem will be an easy problem for him. Very easy.
Just because he worked with Ahijo?
Because he knows I mean, that's somebody who is, I think it's somebody that we don't have even to argue about his portfolio. You don't have to say anything. It's somebody who knows. I told you very well that he is the only person. Okay, how did Mr. Yupit Adamu know about the Anglophone problem that started since 1989? And it continued since 1990, where you had the Southern Cameroon National Congress, you had the Ambazonia, this, everything. Started in 1989, and 1990. By then, if it was possible, it was that time that they would have even quenched that fire. They wait now after more than 20, 30 years now. That's my own. That's
when you follow, he sounds very pathetic.
Yes, it's really pathetic. But what I will tell my brother is that the problem the Anglophones are going through today, we need the effort, the contribution of all Cameroonians to get this problem solved. Each person at his own level. I mean, all goodwill Cameroonians. If someone tells me that he needs to be president of this republic before finding a solution, I'll say no. Make your contribution now as the problem is raging on. We don't know who will be next president. So each Cameroonian can make a contribution and we'll solve the problem. And President Paul Biya is leading in the search for a solution because he's doing just what Cameroonians expect the head of state to do. When this problem started, he came up with the solutions. They listed 7 grievances and ended with about 20 or more than 20. And the head of state instructed his collaborators to address all those issues. And it was not a question of telling them to do it, but they had to do it immediately. And we followed the report from Esther, which gave us a list of measures, several measures that were taken through the enlightened guidance of the head of state. Now, when the problem changes hands, it becomes another issue because the president will only bring the solution that is adapted to the problem that is posed. When you now move from simple grievances to now a question of secession, which is that of dividing the state, the head of state took oath of office to defend the territorial integrity of our country, to defend the property, to defend the lives of the citizens. That's what he swore to do that. So he can't go out of that. If the head of state accepts that this country should be divided, it means that he's going against the oath which he took. And that's why he decides to apply just the law. Our forces of law and order are sent there to protect the people. I think when the military is on the field, the police and the gendarmes are there, they are there to do just the work for which they have been assigned to do, which is protecting the lives of the people. And when the head of state discovers that in spite of that effort, people are dying and others are suffering, he still comes up with another measure, which is that of giving assistance to those who are in misery. So I think all what the president is doing is just in line with the assignment which he accepted to do for our country. So if we have to solve this problem, then all of us, all Cameroonians, not only Anglophones, we have to make our contribution. And I think they're doing it. When Cameroonians donate a lot of money and send to the Northwest and Southwest, because they have concern for these people, they want this problem solved, they sympathize with them. That's another way they can make their own contribution. So now we think that peace, dialogue should prevail. So this dialogue, as we said, everyone should be involved in it at all levels, which means that we should be dialoguing with our youth, even though as young as they are, we should be in a dialogue with them. We should be able to tell them that, listen, what you're doing is going to lead you nowhere. You will never have, how can the youth, you decide to accept to use guns? You've never been trained to use a gun. The gun you're using, you don't know about it. It's a den gun, which is a locally fabricated gun. And you accept to take this gun and face a military officer who is trained and having an automatic rifle. I think they don't understand what is happening. So we think that they should know that they cannot succeed in that war. They may only surprise the military people, attack and maybe wound or kill some of them, but to win the war is going to be difficult because they don't have the capacity to face this war. So there's no need going into it.
Now, what appeal can you make to the youth? Because in crisis situation, the language you use is important. Do you use language of appeasement to your youth? What type of message do you carry to the youth as the CDU?
The only message I can carry, that I've been talking to some of these my young guys, is that please be calm. Be calm. Don't enter into problems that might not bear any fruit. That be calm, and perhaps by the mercy of God, I will know that with His mercy, we shall be free from these sufferings. We shall be free. That's what I've been telling some of my friends, my youths, saying that we should be very careful as we move. We should be very careful as we talk. We should not run our mouths. We should be very careful. As
your national president visited your region?
Many times.
What message did he carry to his militants down there?
The message of peace. He always carried messages of peace. I quite remember he was received in Tombel. I think that was on the 7th of October last year, before presidential election. I think it was before council elections.
Senatorial elections, you mean?
No, council elections.
Okay.
Yes, about 5 years ago he came to Tombel, and we welcomed him with the peace plan, and he received it because he came for peace. He came to put us together so that we should work together as one. All militants.
You raised that peace plan today. The people who are angry cannot take it.
My problem is that I don't even know them. How can you give a peace plan to somebody you don't know?
Are they coming from somewhere?
No, they are guys who are around, but I don't know any. I don't know any of them. I wouldn't tell you a lie here. There are no one.
Okay. Now, when you look at it has been devastating, not only to individual lives, but to communities and to the regions as well. And you see that the economic life of the Northwest and Southwest has been brought down to almost zero. Poverty is rampant. Schools hardly open. Schools which used to have hundreds of thousands of pupils and students can barely count 100. For the very first time, like I was indicating earlier on, Cameroon has refugees. Cameroonians are living out of the country as refugees, never seen in almost 60 years of our history. And the island of peace we used to be has since, with almost all media organs around the world, refer to the crisis in our region. I decided to talk to Clarice Takang, who went around to look for the consequences of what this has happened or this has cost the Northwest and the Southwest, and put together the reports on the political, social, and economic consequences of the crisis in the two English-speaking regions of the country.
Businesses crumbled, the movement of goods and services at the barest minimum, buying and selling practically at a standstill. This is the economic climate prevailing in some parts of the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon 2 years into the security crisis. Countless ghost towns heated by the population and market stalls reduced to ashes have brought a hitherto major production zone to its knees. In some localities, agriculture, which was the main activity of numerous inhabitants, is now a distant memory. Some parts have seen crops left to rot in the farms, others no longer boast of any farmland to talk of. In the towns and cities, the atmosphere is one of unease. the impact
massif des populations.
With a huge number of displaced persons, the movement of goods and services is greatly hindered. At another level, there is a drop in the production of certain crops, such as banana and cocoa. The impact on the national economy is huge, as it makes diversification of the economy difficult. Resources are scarce. Consumption has equally been affected.
Le deuxième niveau de conséquence, c'est la consommation.
Financial institutions have equally been feeling the pinch as they deal with the consequences of the ongoing situation on their line of activity.
In Northwest, I have branches in Bamenda and in Limbe. Yes, when you give a loan for somebody in Bamenda to finance his activity, this crisis will not permit him to reimburse you a reality. Yes, that is the main consequence, direct consequence, and this is true. And you can see with the problem of security, you have problem of security, and now people cannot come and save their money because they don't have it.
Reports from different sources indicate that the social fabric has been considerably disrupted as a result of the conflict. Schools remain closed in some parts. Thousands of people are said to have fled to neighboring countries, while an estimated 150,000 are internally displaced. Added to the refugee situation is the fact that access to basic services such as hygiene and sanitation has taken a turn for the worse. The humanitarian situation is closely monitored.
10,000 of displaced persons has been registered in the Northwest region from the census that were done at the grassroots level by the administrative authorities. Since some of those areas were secured, some of the population that went out of their villages are going back. And even if in some other area we are receiving reports that some are already fled to come to Bamenda.
That was less than 2 months ago. Events unfolding in the northwest and southwest regions with each passing day have prompted calls from various institutions and groups for national unity to be preserved. Living together has been preached and urged. Efforts have been made to maintain peace and stability in a context many describe as uncertain, while all the same remaining hopeful that a way out is possible.
Mr. Inongene, when you listen to what Clarice has just said, does your party have proposals for a way out of this crisis?
I earlier told that my party has a way out. If the national president, His Excellency Dr. Adamunde Anjoya, is voted as the president of this country, I earlier said that is a solution. You quite remember that even our...
What are you proposing to the Cameroonian people?
To go vote massively, to vote Dr. Adamunde Anjoya.
What is Adamunde Anjoya proposing concretely?
Concretely, he's proposing, he has a lot of proposals, not one. Until the program comes out is when I can make you know the program. But at the moment, we don't know. We have not had the program yet. We know very well that the program will soon be coming out.
Okay.
Because we know we have the National Executive Bureau meeting on Saturday and Sunday. So after the National Executive meeting of the CDU party in Fumban, they have resolutions will come out.
You map out your strategies.
You map out our strategy.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now,
I also want to add something to that. You know, this problem that we are facing, Cardinal Tumi praised his effort. The CDU Bureau, National Bureau, praised the effort that Cardinal Tumi was to put in place. Unfortunately, this initiative has been thwarted.
It has not been thwarted. He just postponed it.
Postponed?
To November.
Okay. That postponed. But this one was before elections, which could have helped the Anglophones to go and vote. Are you quite sure now that the Anglophones would vote? Are you quite sure?
Elekam says that they will vote.
Elekam themselves, are their offices even open? It's just that you people are not in the field. We are those in the field. I told you that, especially in our area, in my constituency, the offices that are open is the hospital, the gendarmerie, the police, the DO's office. And perhaps the veterinary one time come to see about the animals they have killed or not. No,
come to see about the animals?
The animals they have killed and not to see how they can look. That's just all. What I'm telling you, my learned brother, is that it's not easy. It's not easy.
Mr. Frujeratan.
You quite remember that even in court, to sign a non-conviction is a problem. You cannot sign a non-conviction.
Because the courts are not open?
The courts are not open. The magistrates are not there. What I'm telling you, that people, state agents are not in place.
Okay. Now, we just talked earlier on about efforts which government has put in, and also the strategies which they are using. That's this persistent talk about dialogue, and the CPDM says they've been going down and talking to the people, but they talk about inclusive dialogue. Do you use that phrase within your party also, inclusive dialogue?
Really, for us to get out of this crisis, Joe, I think dialogue is the main weapon that we can use. And this is what the president has been hammering on each time he addresses the nation and has to touch on the Anglophone matter problem. This is because, as we say, the Anglophone problem is a bit special because it looks like a family matter. You discover that the war is even more between Anglophones now. The Anglophones are fighting each other. Even though at one moment you discover that there's some sort of victimization coming in, settling of scores. Others come in like armed robbers.
Is that not the more reason why we should pray that it should come?
Well, you said it before that we should not pray, but we should walk towards the solution. We can add prayers to it, but we have to walk towards it. And I think what we have to do is to educate our people. There's a lot of education that has to be done because I think there's a lot of ignorance. Our people don't seem to understand what is happening.
Now,
our youths don't understand. Then dialogue can now come in, to, as you said, inclusive dialogue would mean that form of dialogue that involves everyone, involves the church, involves the traditional authorities, involves the youths, women, everybody. We have to talk about this problem and to try to preach peace. This peace which should start with laying down our arms, because we cannot be talking about peace and at the same time we're throwing stones, we are firing at each other. We have to talk about peace. We have to lay down the arms and talk. We have to respect the rule of law. We cannot have peace, we cannot have dialogue in a jungle where you do what you like. You can attack anyone, you can seize his property and do anything. We must respect the law. We are in a state of law. We have a constitution, we have laws that govern our country. We must respect that, the laws. And when we do that, we sit down and evaluate, and then we see a way forward. Because what is certain is that the war must end. Every war, all the wars we've had all over the world end somewhere. But our wish is that it ends early so that it can reduce the damage it's doing to our society. The lives that are being lost, the property, the businesses that are dying, and so on. So our wish is that it should end earlier. So we have to work towards ensuring that this crisis comes to an end. We have to educate, we have to dialogue, we have to respect the law, we have to bring in a ceasefire.
Now, there's so much talk about dialogue. When you talk about dialogue within your own context, within your political party, what do you mean?
In fact, especially my leader brother has talked again about dialogue. Everybody has been talking about dialogue. Even all of us in CDU too will talk of dialogue. But his hierarchy is asking the world that the dialogue with who? That is the solution that to me was to bring to the people, where they could get guys with whom the government can dialogue with before elections. So that's the only way I can answer that one. I don't know what to answer there again, because when you want to talk about inclusive dialogue, you do the inclusive dialogue with who? That's what your hierarchy is asking.
I don't think that Cardinal Tumi's idea was rejected. It was not rejected at all. I think when you want to go in for dialogue, go in for direct dialogue. Don't attach conditions to the dialogue. I think there was maybe a small problem.
When he used the word, I pray the authorities, a request can be rejected just as it can be granted, right?
Yes, we are saying that if you attach a condition.
He did not say for me to hold the dialogue, this is what he said. He said he's requesting that or praying that.
And that's why the government, even we followed the Minister of Communication several times, talk about it. He has never rejected dialogue. On the contrary, that's what the government is encouraging. That's what the President of the Republic is encouraging. So anyone who thinks that he can come in with some dialogue that can help move us closer to the solution of the problem, generally is welcome. Nobody can reject it.
Okay. Mr. Inongene?
Yes.
Now, at the level of your constituency, yes. I know you say it's a bad situation.
It's a very bad situation.
Yes, but let's move out a little bit from your constituency and look at the global situation. Cameroon, the economic situation of Cameroon now, the education, the roads, the schools, and so on and so forth. What's the CDU proposing for this election?
Of course,
the economy, the social life, and so on and so forth.
Yes, we know that most of our parents, especially we ourselves, will have financial problems nowadays because we cannot sell our products. We cannot go to the farms. Most of us cannot go to. Many people have abandoned their farms. The same for schools. No person will not. There is no person on earth that would allow the child in the house. Every person likes the child to go to school. And CDU, I think you have never heard about Dr. Adamu Janjora's GC in those days when he was the Minister of National Education.
I've heard about it.
It was not easy. There's somebody who took education as a priority in his life. And up to date, it's a priority to our national president. That's why I'm asking my little brother, if they want to get sound education in Cameroon here, let them vote Dr. Adamu Janjora. Because if they can remember the job he did when he was the Minister of National Education, because to get his GC was not easy. There are certain times that the francophones used to say, avoir le BPC, le bac d'Adamu Janjora, c'était pas facile.
Are we not living in past glories?
Yes, but he is there. He's there to work for the people. He's there to work for the nation. And if the nation can give him the mandate, I'm sure this country will change. I'm sure perhaps some of us who are crying poverty like that, we shall no more cry poverty. And even this Anglophone problem will be solved. I'm telling you the truth, it will be solved. It will be solved. Because he knows very well the problem. Because if he did not know the problem, how can one of our important personality in the party talk about Ambazonian, that we heard about Ambazonian in 1989, in 1990, where some of you did not even hear about that. But they say Francophone, Mr. Yupi Adamu, he said it, yeah, that they will be hearing about Ambazonia, hearing of SNC since 1989. They who? The CDU.
If you were hearing about it since 1989, why did you not propose something? And I'm sure if you propose something, they would say, on this platform, we are voting you. And since 1989, we've had elections in the country, and your party has been taking part in the elections.
Look at it, the party has been taking part, and you know the type of elections we have in Cameroon.
You're shifting from...
It's not easy to... Even now itself, although people are fighting those other 8 candidates, if they cannot come together, it will not be easy for them, because some of them talk much. They talk a lot. The way they don't have anything in our area. They don't have any branch. Now they are asking us now to produce polling station agents. Where will they, all the 7 parties, my party will produce. But the 7 other parties, they don't exist there. How would they produce? Then how would they take care of
no,
that?
So you win. So you win the constituency.
Of them, I'm sure. My people will surely win if and only if there will be elections.
Why would there not be elections?
In that area, I'm praying. That's why we are praying now. Let it be. If and only if there will be election there, then CD will surely win there. I'm telling you the truth. Surely
okay, it means that you've done so much groundwork in that area.
I have monitored all the villages. I know all the villages in Tombo subdivision. I know all the villages in Bangam subdivision. I know all the villages in Guti subdivision. Apart of some hinterlands that I'm not going to ride them because of the hills. But I have my guys who are around there.
The CDU is not running any council in the area.
It's not running because of what? Didn't you get my results? The last council elections, I roughly 16%, which was not bad. In a place where it was not easy. It was not easy.
So you think that you're going to crush the CPDM this time around?
With the prevailing situation in this country now, if elections ought to have taken place in July or August, in July, as we were waiting, I would have been the mayor now in Tombe. I'm telling you the truth, I would have been the mayor of Tombe now.
That's the CDU?
Yes, yes.
It sounds interesting. He's so confident about himself when it comes to elections in his area. Yes. Now, what groundwork are you doing in your own constituency to be able to get victory for your party?
Really?
I know the council and parliamentary elections that always generate a lot of heated debates that are within the electoral areas where you come from are always more exciting than the presidential elections, which are more global.
Really, in my area, in Santa, in Mezam.
And both of you are section presidents.
Yes. I'm not a section president. I'm a divisional president.
Okay, divisional president.
No section. We don't have sections in our party.
Yes.
Okay.
We've been working. You know, the CPDM works round the clock. It's not only the case of Santa, in fact, it's the case in the whole country. We've been mobilizing our militants all around, trying to guide them, trying to assist them, trying to animate the party activity all around the clock. Now we're going to reinforce these activities by building out specific strategies that will lead us towards the election, particularly strategies that touch on our militants, those who have registered, ensuring that they have their voters' cards, helping them to identify their polling stations, trying to sell our candidate to our militants. A candidate they already have accepted, but we try to make them understand that the CPDM candidate is a candidate who has a political program. He has a program, has a political program, has an economic program, he has a social program. This they know that today we're talking about consolidating our democracy. In our country today, we see the number of candidates that come up for election, 28, from 28 to 9 and so on, is showing the strength of our democracy. We're talking about national unity, peace. Those are the ideas of our candidate. The Anglophone crisis today, it is a major problem. We have to ensure that this problem is solved. We educate them to work towards a united Cameroon. We make them understand that our candidate has an economic program, a program which is focused on growth in the country, focused on getting employment for our youths and so on. We know that our candidate, President Paul Biya, has a vision, that of taking our country to emergence in the near future, in 2035, which of course is not a slogan. It is real because the actions that we find today, the structural projects that have been carried out, executed today, already indicate that we are moving towards that emergence. We have energy, in the domain of energy, road infrastructure, industrialization, because I'm from the Ministry of Mines and Industries. I can tell you with all confidence that the industrialization plan for our country, the strategic plan for industrialization is already available, and that there are lots and lots of industries that are going to generate in our country. Some are already taken off already. I can tell you that in the near future, a company like SICAM is going to take off again.
Okay.
So we're giving you this to make you understand that we have a lot of material to give to our militants on the field, and they're quite comfortable with it and sure that they made the choice, they chose the good candidate, the right candidate.
I want to, Joe, I would like to ask him a question, please. Don't you know that when you sit on a seat like this, you sit like this for more than 35 years, the seat pains you. You sit down, even for more than 3 hours, the seat becomes very hot. Why so there are certain times that you leave power before the power could leave you.
Yes.
No, excuse me, let me maybe answer him.
Yes.
Is it you who decided to sit there? No. If you are chosen, we're in a democracy, I said it, that we had 28 candidates. They have been reduced to 9 candidates who will go for the election.
Exactly.
And you are talking here freely, you can say anything to the public. Then the ballot box shall choose the candidate. If they choose your leader, can he say he will not accept it?
He will surely
the CDU, your president, has been president of CDU for how many years?
He has been president of CDU for the past 25 years.
It's not paining him to leave the chair to some other person, for instance?
That one is a different thing. That one does not have a lot of.
It is because the militants of CDU feel that Adamu Ndamjoya is the person who has a vision for their party. That's why they choose him. It's the same thing with President Paul Biya. A majority of Cameroonians think that he is the right person for to lead this country for its development. So the president will not reject the choice of the people.
Okay, I exceptionally allowed you to ask him that question. Are you satisfied with his answer?
I'm not really satisfied. The answer is just amusing.
Okay, but he asked you a question why your party chairman too is there for 25 years, and you said the people choose him, right?
Yes.
So it's the same thing, right? Okay, now how would you take this criticism that many opposition parties don't work, they only come up during election time?
That's a good question. And they just come. What I want to tell you is that they are fighting for their stomach. Most of them are fighting for their stomach. Because most of those parties, I've not been hearing about those parties. Like Univer, I hear party Univer. I don't really know what that means, what that abbreviation stands for.
Is your own active in the field?
No, I will let me learn. You have asked a question, let me learn. What do they come? They are coming just for their stomach. Because most of them are coming there for their stomach. Because they know that when they borrow 30 million francs, they'll be giving 50 million for their campaign. And they can have 20 million francs to make use of. That's why anybody who went to the bank to borrow money, 30 million, as a candidate, will surely be given. Because they know very well that 50 million will be coming. Even if it does not come immediately, they will come later.
That's why most of them are collateral security to even borrow.
They are coming for president. Most of them are coming to the presidential election just because of their stomach. It's not because they like the country. I'm telling you the truth. They don't like the country.
How would you demonstrate that your party loves the country?
If they like the country, let them come together. Let the 8 come together.
Have you people been discussing with the other parties to form a coalition?
They have been. They are doing something on the ground. There's some underground movement.
Okay.
That I feel that perhaps it might yield some fruits. If it doesn't yield fruit, then I'm sorry, my friend will be laughing at me after the 7th of October. If they cannot come together, it will be difficult, because most of them are not in the field. I'm telling you the truth, they are not in the field. They need now people now who protect their votes in various places. I don't know how far.
Do you have that yourself?
In my area, I'm sure. That's why I told you here later. I told you here that in my area, after CPDM and myself, we can give our list. To give our list of polling agents is an easy thing. And luckily to UNDP, if UNDP was also there, they are strong in my area there, then they could also put up a list for their polling.
But UNDP has allied with the CPDM.
That's why I'm saying now the only people who can do that now is just the CPDM and the CDU in my constituency. That's what I was telling you. That's why I'm saying that the other people, if they cannot come together I'm telling you the truth. It will be difficult.
If you see that the CPDM candidate is the better option, why not just join them?
Who?
You.
Huh. I was the first. Look, I resigned from CPDM. Sorry, I forgot to tell that I resigned from CPDM as the assistant subsection president of Tomba Central. You can verify from anybody. I resigned in 2003. I saw that I could not. Yes, I resigned from CPDM.
He's saying that you might come back someday.
No, I cannot. If I was to come there, I would have come back since 2007. Because
now, does any opposition coalition threaten the CPDM?
It will threaten.
First of all, from what my brother is saying, they're working for their stomach. While the CPDM is working to build this country, to ensure that there's progress, growth, they are working for their stomachs. It becomes difficult for them to beat because each person wants to take it. But if they were to come together, it's still not going to threaten the CPDM because, as he said, they've just started work. You don't win an election at the last minute. We generally say you don't feed your fowl on market day. So there's nothing, no party, even all the 29 were to put together, they will never threaten the CPDM because the CPDM covers the entire territory. The CPDM has been working all around the clock. So how will we beat the CPDM? It's impossible. So we just advise them if they can do like the others, maybe like UNDP, like the other parties, then we'll get one candidate who will be able to project our country forward.
When you hear me speak, do you think it's worthwhile?
Of course, it's worthwhile. Look at, I've earlier said it, I don't want to
disclose your strategies.
Yes, my strategy. I've already told you that CDU, with our national president, His Excellency Dr. Adamondam, Cameroon will be a better place to live. And I don't have anything to talk again concerning CPDM, because I was in the CPDM for 19 good years, up to the level of the protocol, from the protocol right to the subsection president. So if I can leave a party like that and go, there was one person who told me something, one group, a CPDM member, an important personality, that I would not even mention his name.
Don't mention.
That, why have I left a very beautiful house and entered a Sosongo? Do you know what's called Sosongo?
It's correct.
Because now I'm a rabbit. I laughed at him. I told him that if I leave a place, it's because I'm seeing that with that place, I have no future. My children have no future. And up to now, I have children who don't have future because of what? Because of this situation, prevailing situation in this country.
I think, Joe, if you move...
Because there was a time when one of my children asked me a question, Papa, Daddy, I said, Papa, you are a substation president for quite a long time like this. His whole assistant substation president for quite a long time, and you cannot even help us. Can you not tell your people to help us? I say, well, how do you want me to tell them? When I tell one, he does not want to do it. I tell this, he does not want to do. You want me to force them to do it? I cannot force them to do it.
The man who said...
How did they want you to help them?
That's finally what made me to resign from there, because no one was even wanting to help me. And I was suffering in the party alone. So it's not easy. CPD, working in CPD, he is talking. Most people who are supporting CPD are those who are having something in their stomach. So you cannot support a party like that.
Effectively, you cannot go for a party where you don't reap anything from it. We reap a lot from the CPD because we have jobs, we have growth, we have roads, we have schools, we have hospitals. That's what takes us to the CPDM. Now, if you move from the CPDM to another political party, what we expect is that you're going to get something better. Or we're going to get what you didn't have from the CPDM. But it looks like the guy who said you moved from the beautiful house to the Sosongo may have told you the right thing. Because we think that in the CPDM, that's a party that has a future. That's a party.
They're the governing party, yes, and so
is governing this country. Everything has an end. There's nothing which is forever. Everything has an end. One day, there will be still.
No, we are aiming at the October elections.
Yes, but that's why I'm saying that.
And you have something to offer.
Yes, that's why I'm praying that the Almighty God should bless Dr. Adamu to take over this country.
Are you selling a program, or you are praying for his victory?
The program will come out, and the program will be sold to each and every person, and you have a copy.
No, so you don't know what you are proposing?
I cannot propose anything now because I earlier told you that we are having a National Executive Bureau meeting on Saturday, the 18th, and Sunday, the 19th. And it's from that meeting that resolutions will be brought out.
But you should be, as a divisional president, you should be able to know that this is what the party stands for in terms of the political life of the country. This is what the country stands for in terms of the social life of the country. This is what because except you are going to create something today, there are some things that stand out within the party.
No, what I've already told you that if that document doesn't come out, because
you will not say anything.
I will not say anything now.
Okay.
If I'm lucky to be invited next time, by then the program has come out. I will tell you each and everything concerning the program.
Even the security of your area?
Even the security of my area will be talked there, because we shall be there in combat. So the security of my area will be mentioned.
Now, Mr. Fru Jonathan, maybe a concluding word on the way forward, the situation in the Northwest and Southwest.
Well,
what the party is proposing.
As I said,
like you say, you've been working around the clock all through the year, so you should know what the country, your party is proposing to handle the situation in the Northwest and Southwest, besides what it has done thus far.
Well, it will not be superfluous to talk about dialogue, because we will not invent a solution from I don't know where. The solution is that we must have to dialogue. We must have to be able to educate and sensitize our people to take the right direction, to know what is happening, to know that maybe they're in a dream which is not ending. They should be able to know that you take a path which will lead you somewhere. You don't take a path where you're not sure to arrive anywhere. We have to make our people to understand that the unity of our country is a historical fact. It's not something that can be negotiated today. They have to know that the president himself did take an oath that he's going to defend this unity, and that's just what the President of the Republic is doing. We have to go along with him. We have to understand that Cameroon is a state of law. Cameroon has a constitution. It's a republic. We have to respect all the republican institutions. We have to respect our head of state because he was elected, voted by the people in a democratic setup. Until he leaves power, another president comes up, we shall continue to respect that president. So we have to respect the laws of our country. We cannot live, no development, no progress, no peace can come if we live like animals, where you don't have any law, you don't have anything guiding you. So I think that is what the CPDM stands for. We should respect our laws of our country, and that, if that is done, then we shall find peace and we shall be able to come back like one nation and look forward to our development. We know that come what may, this war shall end. No war has ever gone forever. This war has to end. But we train our people to understand that we shouldn't allow it get to a point where we lose too much before the war comes to an end. In fact, prayers have to come in. The churches have to pray. We have to even offer masses wherever we are. But let us understand that we have to walk towards that peace. We have to stop killing our brothers, because we cannot go out in a cause, fight for a cause which is for the interest of the people, and at the same time we kill those people. It doesn't make sense. The two don't go together. So I think this is how our national chairman thinks, and this is what he preaches, and I think all our party militants, the officials, they look at this problem in this direction.
Mr. David Enongene,
yes, sir.
If you were to speak to the people of your party or the Cameroonians, make an appeal on this problem, what would you say?
We are appealing for peace. All of us, nobody likes what is happening. Nobody likes it. I'm telling the truth. Because if you have never witnessed it, This is pure Baghdad. It's pure, our area is pure Baghdad. So we are praying for peace. That's why we had a 9-day novena, the CMA, because I'm a member of the Catholic Men Association. I had a 9-day novena praying for peace in our country, praying for peace in the northwest and southwest regions. We as a Christians, we pray. We are always there praying. Because we cannot be seeing our lost people dying like that and we're happy. Because I've been when I go and see like that, somebody who dies because of it. It pains me. And even the churches, in our churches, we pray. We have, even the Catholic Church, we have a prayer that we do after the Mass. After the Mass, we have to pray for peace. In Catholic Church, we pray for peace. Every Mass, after the Mass, we have to pray for peace. Have you asked yourself why the situation is not changing as fast as you would have anticipated? That is a problem of contention. That is the problem we are facing. Because how can I ask myself? Sometimes I used to sit down in my house with my wife and ask my wife, Mommy, where are we living? Where is this country going to? How are we living? How are we really living? Because sometimes, even behind my house, you hear a gunshot, boom, you see, it pains. My wife herself is a high blood patient. She almost died last time. That was 20th May. I had to rush her to the hospital. Luckily, that the hospital, they don't tamper with the hospitals. Okay. Which is a good thing. The CPDM is banking on their candidate and talking about experience. I want to suppose that this is their joker, the word experience, and they think that will make the magic.
Effectively, Joe, I think they think the age of our president is something which we want to capitalize on. His experience is what we capitalize on. We know that having attained that age and having worked in our country for that period, he has gathered a lot of experience. He's respected all around the world, even in Africa. He's now a wise man. And I think that experience is what we need, particularly when we are in a difficult situation like what we're going through. We cannot take starters, people who will come to begin or to learn how to work now. We need an experienced person, somebody who knows Cameroon. I think to work in an office for more than 30 years, you have the world's experience. And that's what Cameroonians need. And that's just what is encouraging most Cameroonians to vote for the president. They think that he is the one who can find a solution to the current problem that our country is facing. Why? Because he has handled similar situations before. We know the number of crises our country has gone through. We know that by handling all those crises, he has gathered sufficient experience that he can take our country forward. If we bring in somebody at the last minute, then maybe we may run into a bigger crisis. So his experience, his age, is an asset for the party and for all Cameroonians. We are unanimous about that, and a majority of Cameroonians are unanimous about that. Okay. You just talked about experience. What's your candidate banking on? It looks very funny because my candidate is more experienced than even your candidate. I'm telling you, it's more experienced than even your candidate. Because your candidate has never worked international in an international body. So he has only worked in Cameroon, and he has become very old still in Cameroon. Let me speak. Please, I want you to understand that there's a certain age for one to go for retirement. Why do people go on retirement? It's because their brains is getting tired. It's because they are no more capable of doing effective job. That's why they go on retirement. And some of them go even on retirement at the age of 50. Then when you talk of somebody who's already getting to 86 years old, and you say he has a lot of experience, which type of experience does he have? I would like to get from him the type of experience he has, because the brain is already tired. But even there was a doctor. Let me say something. Do you know? Do you know that in Cameroon here, people are never old, according to what I've discovered?
But I would like you to know that there's a certain age that you have to leave power than power to leave you. Because all those type of things this is what brings a lot of problem in the society.
But your candidate,
so experience.
How old is your candidate?
Let me learn, because experience, we talk about experience at the age of 86, getting to 86 years, he has experience. More than somebody who is 70. It looks funny. And somebody who has worked in international organizations.
Let me remind
you're getting the know-how from international organization to work in Cameroon, the complexities of a local country?
Yes, because first of all, he has worked abroad, and he has worked again in Cameroon as a minister of education, national education, which englobed the higher education, the secondary education, and the so-called basic education. We call it a basic or primary, I don't know.
Yes.
But he was holding all those.
Let me bring
which was not
something to his attention.
And at this level that he is at the age of 70-something years, he is even the better candidate for the people, because he has gathered a lot of experience.
You're talking about experience.
Yes, we are talking about it. He has brought matter of experience.
I am telling you that
about experience.
You cannot judge. You don't judge someone's performance just from age. Age is not a problem. Age is not sickness. I think our president, our candidate, is a healthy man, because he has all his senses. You understand? President Paul Biya is still strong and healthy and can walk. There are people who are maybe 40 years or even 50 years who cannot do what he's doing because they're sick. So what should stop him from walking is sickness. It's not age. I think that the more you grow in age, the more experienced you are, and the more useful you can be to your people. And I can understand how we think that in a democratic setup, you will ask someone to leave office. No, we can vote him out of office. We are going to vote in a few weeks. You have the opportunity to tell your militants that don't vote for A or B. Why should you think that he should leave office? There's no reason for that. So President Biya is there because, one, he's a healthy man.
Yes, good.
He's having all his senses.
Yes.
Two, the people, the population, Cameroonians support him. They support him because they know what he can produce.
But you used to support him before.
Yes, I used to support him in the 70s, 80s, 90s.
You two are an old man.
Yeah, I'm an old man. I'm an old man. I'm 68. I'm my child. I'm also retired. I retired at the age of 59.
So why are you still on the job in politics?
No, politics is quite a different thing. It's
but
quite different from something that demands a lot of knowledge, that demands a lot of know-how. It's not easy, because you need to. It's not easy. That's why people go. That is why we go on retirement, because we were occupying posts that could not make us stay there for more than 60 years.
Retirement doesn't mean you go sleep somewhere. Retirement means
the brain is tired.
You change activity. Sometimes people on retirement work even harder than when they were
in active service.
So
you have said it.
You may be mixing up the point completely.
I've understood you.
Yes. So take it back home that our candidate is a healthy man, and is very active. You will watch the president stand at the 20th May Avenue for hours when the military are marching. There are people who will not be able to stand half the time he's making there. That shows how vibrant he is.
Okay, I want you to talk to your. I want you to talk to your party supporters.
Yes.
Beginning with you, Mr. Inongene.
Yes, the whole thing I want to tell my party. You have given me the opportunity to tell my party members that and sympathizers that they should vote Dr. Adamu Danjaya come 7th October. 2018, because he is the right choice. He is a man of a lot of experience, and somebody who knows the Anglophone problems better than others, because he has been talking about the Anglophone problem even when we are in meetings. So if these problems, if he was the president of this country since 2004, this Anglophone problem would have not come up. He would have solved the problem before then.
Okay. Mr. Fruit Jonathan?
Well, I will be saying, telling our militants that we have made the right choice, and that choice is President Paul Biya. We're not voting just for President Paul Biya, but we're voting for his program. He has a political program for our country. He has an economic program. He has a social program. This program is manifested in various activities that have been carried out. Our democracy, the peace in our country, the unity, the national integration, that is the program of President Paul Biya. The economic growth which President Paul Biya is trying to promote. He is working with a vision which is leading us to emergence.
Okay.
You must have a vision.
All right.
And since our president has a vision, we have to back him to be able to realize that vision.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We were expecting Mr. Justin Roger, Noah of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, and he failed us this evening. But that notwithstanding, we are glad we have been able to educate the Cameroonians on what the Anglophone problem is as seen from the CDU and the CBDM political parties. Thank you very much for being with us on this second edition of the program. Emiri Robert Biyina will be with you next Tuesday with 100% Presidential. I'll be coming up in a fortnight. Good evening.